this is one thing I noticed when I was in school is when they talked about Native history, it always started when Europeans got here. Like that was a history. That their history only begins once they're involved in the story a little bit. I made this sign. I don't know if you guys recognize this logo. I'll go ahead. Anybody out there know what it is? Yeah, it's the Morton Salt Girl. So what I did was I replaced her dress with a traditional Choctaw dress, and I kind of darkened the skin a little bit. These are shoes that I made by cutting out comic books. Anyone can do this. You guys could do this. It's just paper and glue. I went to the comic book store. The first thing I learned is that they're not called comic books anymore. Like this place was called Atomic Comics, and I went in and I was like, hey, do you have any comic books with Native people in it? And he was all, they're called graphic novels. I'm like, the name of your store is comics. So anyway, it took about, I think it took me 6 issues of The Lone Ranger to find this many images of Native people. I thought comic books cost like 75 cents, it's about $4. But anyway, you can make this yourself. I wore them around, but they're only good for about one wear because then the paper starts wrinkling and falling off. These are just Indians watching Indians. I made this using a cell phone and these little figures I got at Hobby Lobby. And I kind of wanted to make it look like these guys were at a drive-in theater watching smoke signals. I used to have these collection of Pez dispensers. So I made these red Pez. I probably like, if you tilt their head back, maybe like a slice of cheese will come out or something like that. One of the things that I really liked growing up is stop motion film. It was like really, I didn't understand how they made them. I thought they were really neat. But one of my favorite ones was one called Rudolph. There's a character in there named Brumble. And I call this the native that saved Christmas. You may or may not know this, but there was a native person on a $5 bill, silver certificate. You get a chance after this is over, Google $5 bill Native American, and you'll see the image come up. It's really, really awesome. I really dug how it looked. And also due to how Andrew Jackson, who's on the $20 bill, his treatment of Native people and his policies, I don't think he deserves to be on there, so I just decided to change those. Now, these are not Photoshop. These are done by using pen and matte pencils. And I just colored on top of it to manipulate it. I think I might have spent all these. This is back when I first started, so I was hungry. I was asked, okay, so downtown Oklahoma City, there's a place called Indian Alley, referred to as Indian Alley. So there was a second removal. A lot of people know about the first removal of people, but there was a second removal that happened where they sent Native people to urban areas like Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago. And the idea was for them to get work. So in Los Angeles is one of those places, and a lot of the people congregated around this area in downtown Los Angeles that became known as Indian Alley. Right now, it's kind of a curated alley. They lock it up at night, and during the day they'll unlock it. And I was asked if I wanted to put a piece on the wall. So I decided that I would do something called war paint. And the idea was to rebrand what war paint means. So my idea that anyone that uses war paint to further a social cause, that was their war paint. And these pieces are about 8 feet tall each. One of the things when I was growing up, I would watch Star Wars, and in the movie, if you're not familiar with it, there was these rebels, and they were going against the evil empire. And these rebels were trying their best against overwhelming odds. When it looked like they could not win, they decided not to back down and to fight, and they formed this thing called Rebel Alliance. Well, I found a correlation to the relationship with indigenous people and the government when it came with their dealings, especially when it came to treaty rights being broken, forced removal. So I like to blend pictures of Star Wars and indigenous people because I find that there's a direct correlation to that movie and what happened in real life. And so this is a weird thing. I don't know if I've ever drank coffee from Starbucks because I'm not a coffee drinker. So I went there and asked them if I could have a cup. They said, "What do you want in it?" And I said, "I just want the cup." So when they gave it to me, I just drew on it. So I made this little jingle dress dance.